G'day guys and gal. A lot of people think that the Eldar are weird and gay. And look, you wouldn't be too far off the mark, but that doesn't mean they're always acting like the victims waiting for someone else to sort out their problems. No, the Eldar are actually pretty good problem solvers and manage to rally pretty well, all things considered. Now, unlike most other factions, they actually have a genuine cap on how hard or fast they can scale. That cap being Slaanesh. The Craft Worlders can only breed as fast as they can collect spirit stones. The Dark Elder can barely stay in real space, and the Exodites are a bunch of dirty hippies. The Eldar's main problem is Slaanesh, and if they got rid of the slut god, they could genuinely become the powerhouses of the setting once again. So that begs the question, why haven't they? Well, they have actually tried really hard, multiple times, and even gotten close. So I thought it'd be a fun topic to dive into today. Before we get started, the sale of the limited 2026 Majorkill lore artwork calendar, that's a mouthful, continues. I've worked with one of the best Warhammer artists to create 12 of the most awesome artworks taken directly from the lore. I wanted each faction to have representation, and I wanted to do artworks of moments that have not been done yet, whether it be Logan getting mad during the months of shame, or Conrad being an emo, or Margan being a bad bitch, or Garviel getting revenge, or Farsight bisecting a war boss, or my personal favorite, the Dark King. Just look at that shit, goddamn. Now I used to think physical calendars were silly in this day and age, and maybe they are if they didn't have sick artwork from the lore. However, I've also realized that physically writing down dates or events in a calendar as opposed to just using your Google Calendar is a lot more meaningful. It'll make a great gift or something for yourself. It comes in A4, A3, and A3 Legendary, with Legendary being signed, having a custom front and back cover art as well as extra artwork. Now you may notice I always seem to be selling and launching things. At the end of the day, I run a business with employees and overheads. Without the minis, the merch, and the calendars, there is no Majorkill. Our revenue is just not even close enough to keep the operation running. So I always want to make sure that whatever I sell you guys is high quality, directly overseen and produced by myself, and no one else, doesn't use any AI, and actually gets fulfilled, which I've heard a lot of YouTubers don't actually do for some reason. So getting a calendar is the best way to support the channel right now and allows me to continue to upload as much as I do. So to support the channel and get something awesome in return, i.e. the sickest calendar of 2026, then use the link below. Today we'll go over each time the Eldar genuinely tried to kill or wound Slaanesh so she would just fuck off a bit. Let's get into it. The whole Slaanesh thing sucked pretty hard for the Eldar, especially the ones who actively tried to prevent it. See, it wasn't a massive shocker what happened. As Slaanesh started to be born, many Eldar knew it would end poorly. Some left and became the Exodites, others jumped on craft worlds to stay away from their people, some even stayed within the Eldar Empire and began preparing to fight Slaanesh when she would be born. I mean, some Eldar worlds were actually mostly free of taint, but still got gobbled up anyway. Needless to say, a lot of the Eldar were really salty and were highly motivated to fuck up Slaanesh's shit. When Slaanesh was born, 2 attempts were made to slay her off the bat. So while everyone was jorking it, the priests of the old gods mostly resisted the corruption and tried to prepare. Now although Cain and Asuryan soak up most of the aura points in the Eldar pantheon, Vol is one of the most powerful as he can create some extremely hectic weapons. He forged Cain's weapons as well as the Blackstone fortresses. Those fortresses were then used to help slay gods, so the dude knows something about god slaying. His best priests worked for a long time to create a weapon they believed could kill Slaanesh. So when she was born and came to devour the Eldar, the priests of Vol marched out of their temple wielding this weapon and actually managed to strike Slaanesh with it. Now, as the Eldar lore referring to the fall is spoken mostly in myth and legend, it didn't tell us exactly what the weapon was. Was it a massive dildo designed to keep Slaanesh entertained? Was it a giant version of the kind of knife that Jewish Majorkill used to perform circumcisions? Either way, they hit Slaanesh with it, and while Slaanesh wasn't stoked about it and did actually take some damage, she then fucked the priest to death and the weapon was lost. The attempt failed, which yeah, not a big surprise, but still an interesting bit of lore. As for the second attempt soon after, this was the Eldar gods fighting Slaanesh. Now I personally wasn't there when the Eldar gods and Slaanesh fought, so I don't know how well Asuryan's jiu-jitsu held up, but what we do know is that it seems like Slaanesh made pretty short work of most of the gods, such as Kurnos and Vol, and even Asuryan. However, Cain was an absolute unit. See, Cain was the god of war, sure, but he was also the god of murder, and boy had the Eldar been murdering. He was also quite literally too angry to die. They fought for a long time. However, Slaanesh was hyper-empowered by her birth, and Cain had been a neglected god for some time, so Cain was beaten down. However, the fight with Cain and the other Eldar gods had weakened Slaanesh so much that she was unable to consume Cain. Dude was probably too spicy anyway, and instead shattered him, giving us the avatars of Cain. Now there is some confusion here about whether or not Slaanesh shattered Cain by herself or Khorne intervened as he felt he had a claim on Cain due to them both being gods of war, and that his intervention shattered Cain and fought off Slaanesh. However, that was the lore from the 2nd edition codex, fucking ages ago, whereas the 8th edition codex retconned this so it's just Slaanesh vs Cain. Can you see why my job gets so hard sometimes? Both versions of events are written by GW, one is just more recent so overwrites the other. But yeah, Cain was genuinely trying to murder Slaanesh here, so it definitely counts counts as an attempt. Now post-fall, the Eldar weren't in a great spot. The aspect shrines didn't exist yet, the Dark Eldar were a scattered group of refugees in the webway, the Exodites were useless, and the Harlequins were not yet a particularly large or impressive force. So the Eldar wasn't particularly capable of attempting to kill Slaanesh, and more so just focused on surviving the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy, although Eldrad did intervene in the heresy to give the Loyalists a chance at winning. Now the Eldar didn't just give up, they are a tenacious bunch despite what the memes may say. They simply just needed to rework their strategy. Now there are a few ways to kill a god in 40k, but gods are more diverse than a British homeless shelter, so each one had a different method of slaying. For example, the Blackstone Fortress worked well in the Catan, but wouldn't do anything to a chaos god. The Eldar discovered that the nascent, dormant god Ynnead, the Eldar god of death, was anathema to Slaanesh, and could be powerful enough to slay the chaos god. Not so much because Ynnead was more powerful, but because the concept of death was pretty anti the concept of vibing. It also wasn't necessarily a guaranteed insta-win either, but Ynnead had a stronger claim to the souls of the Eldar than Slaanesh did, being their Grim Reaper and all, so he could deprive Slaanesh of souls, remove all the restraints on the Eldar as a result of Slaanesh claiming their souls, and thus allow them to rise again. Now there have been 3 identified attempts to awaken Ynnead. The first way Ynnead could be awoken was if the entire Eldar race died. Yeah. Then they would sort of merge into Ynnead and hypercharge him, and then hopefully he would reincarnate them. However, you can see why a lot of people weren't super keen on this one. Some Eldar proposed that they all kill themselves at the same time, put themselves into wraith constructs so that they could continue kind of living, then Ynnead would bring them back to flesh and blood. But honestly, this idea was never going to work, as very few Eldar wanted to risk it, and literally all of them had to be involved. So Eldrad tried to brute force the awakening, performing a hectic ritual and summoning the power of all dead crystallized Farseers who ever lived. This almost worked, but the Deathwatch came in hot and stopped the ritual because the side effects of the ritual being completed would have been pretty grim. Destroying the world has been performed on, causing issues in the local area, and also disabling the craft worlds. It was basically seen as the least destructive way to bring back Ynnead. Now although it was interrupted, it did partially awaken Ynnead, allowing for him to choose Yvraine as his messiah, as well as spawn his avatar, the Incarni. It also properly put him on the playing field, and the Ynnari were formed, with many of them gaining power from Ynnead, such as no longer needing Spirit Stones, or for the Dark Eldar, no longer being drained by Slaanesh. It also showed the Ynnari that there was a final, less destructive way to awaken Ynnead, that being to collect all the Crone Swords. So far they have collected 4 out of 5. Yvraine has one, the Visage has one, the Incarni has one, and Prince Uriel has one. However, their plan was cockblocked when it was revealed that the final Crone Sword was in Slaanesh's palace, which just isn't really somewhere you can just go. However, Fulgrim is wielding a very Crone Sword looking weapon, and although no plot has developed from that recently, I wouldn't be surprised if Slaanesh would try use Fulgrim in the Crone Sword to try bait the Ynnari and kill them. However, let me iterate, this is just theory and headcanon. The sword Fulgrim wields may definitely also not be a Crone Sword at all. So that's the Eldar's current attempt. However, recently even Eldrad stepped away from the Ynnari, seeing them as a bit of a dead end, and seeks other methods to save his species. There is one more ongoing attempt that we don't know too much about, that being the attempt of Khagorak, the Laughing God. This god's power isn't super high, but he is very crafty. He was one of the gods who helped trick the Catan into turning on each other, and he was also the one who told Cain how to defeat the Nightbringer. Not to mention, he was the only one that was able to slip away from Slaanesh. Khagorak also wrote that at the peak of Slaanesh's power, when the Eldar appeared most doomed, his final trap would spring, and all the effort Slaanesh put into killing the Eldar would instead be reversed onto her. Now, is this a reference to Slaanesh trying to bait the Eldar with the Crone Sword and Khagorak having some kind of method to help them steal it, thus awakening Ynnead, or is this a Harlequin original strategy that is yet to be unveiled? Either way, I'm keen to find out. So those are the Eldar's genuine attempts to kill Slaanesh, showing that they aren't just quite out of the fight yet. Honestly, it just more so seems like the writers fucking despise the Eldar for some reason. Like, sure, I understand not wanting Ynnead to fully awaken in a similar way to not letting the Emperor fully awaken, but their recent Eldar lore has been actually appalling and extremely shit, which is weird because they've also been given an amazing range refresh and have some of the best models on the tabletop right now. Honestly, GW writing those Ynnari books, which ended up making the Eldar look like shit, then being like, oh, no one bought the books, I guess no one likes the Eldar. No bro, we fucking love the Eldar, we just hate shit lore. You can't release the Infinite and the Divine, a banger Necron book, or the Fall of Cadia, a banger Imperium vs Chaos book, then just release the most trash Eldar books, and then blame it on us. Obviously, I'm just gonna like Robert Rath's stuff more than Gav Thorpe's. Just let Robert write an Eldar book, I'll buy that shit. I feel like every Eldar video I make these days ends with this exact rant, probably because Eldar is my biggest and favorite army. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the Majorkill 2026 Lore Art Calendar. You won't regret it. Hit the subscribe button, hit the real subscribe button for more weird and gay content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.